Ethan Clarke stepped off the shuttle and onto the gleaming platform of Valeria Space Station. The lights of the station reflected on the polished metal floors, casting long, shimmering streaks in every direction. Ships of all sizes floated gracefully in the docking bays, their engines humming softly like a chorus of distant stars. Illyria was a hub for interstellar diplomacy, a place where different civilizations met to trade, negotiate, and sometimes fight. For a human, walking into such a place felt overwhelming. Ethan adjusted his tie nervously. He was here on behalf of Earth, a small but growing power in the galaxy. Humans were known for their daring spirit, their adaptability, and sometimes their stubbornness. Tonight, Ethan hoped those traits would work in his favor. The gala hall was massive, a dome of transparent crystal that let the starlight pour in like a silver river. Guests from hundreds of worlds mingled, their voices a symphony of strange languages and tonal variations. Some floated in zero-gravity suits, while others walked elegantly on long, slender legs. Ethan felt tiny and uncertain among them. "Relax, Ethan," he muttered to himself. "You can do this." He took a deep breath and stepped forward, trying to appear confident. His mission was simple: make a good impression, show that humans could be trusted allies, and maybe, just maybe, make some friends among the galaxy's most influential figures. It didn't take long for him to bump into trouble. Literally. Ethan turned a corner too quickly, his elbow grazing a delicate arm of shimmering light. A soft gasp came from the figure in front of him. He looked up. Princess Lyra. She was breathtaking. Her skin shimmered with shades of violet and silver, and her eyes glowed faintly like twin moons. Her hair floated slightly as if caught in a gentle breeze, even though there was none. Ethan's mind froze. He had seen images of alien royalty before, but nothing prepared him for the real thing. I'm so sorry," Ethan stammered, bowing slightly. Lyra raised an elegant hand, her long fingers adorned with subtle jewelry that sparkled in the light. "Careful where you wander, human," she said with a melodic voice that seemed to echo softly in the hall. Ethan tried to nod, but his words got caught. The gala was crowded, and the princess looked ready to move on. Panicking, he did the first thing that came to his mind. He reached out instinctively, trying to steady her. The universe seemed to pause. Their hands met. Lyra's eyes widened, then she smiled. A real amused smile. But Ethan quickly noticed something odd. Her expression wasn't just amused, it was intrigued. In the Othari culture, a certain gesture of hand-touching and bowing in quick succession could be interpreted as a formal proposal. Ethan had no idea. In his mind, he was simply apologizing for bumping into her. I didn't mean to," Ethan began, but the words faltered again. Lyra tilted her head, her smile growing. "You're proposing to me?" she asked. Ethan froze. His heart seemed to stop. "What? No." But Lyra laughed softly, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. She didn't seem offended. In fact, she looked curious, almost playful. The guests around them began whispering. Someone floated past and pointed discreetly, their eyes wide with excitement. Ethan realized the mistake might be public, very public. He swallowed hard, trying to figure out what to say. I wasn't." Lyra raised a finger, shushing him with a gentle motion. "It doesn't matter," she said, still smiling. "Humans are unexpected." "I like that," Ethan blinked. He had no idea what to do. On Earth, a gesture like that would have been meaningless. Here it was scandalous. And yet Lyra's tone suggested she was not angry. The rest of the gala seemed to blur around him. Voices became background noise. Guests floated elegantly, laughed in strange languages, and moved in patterns that Ethan couldn't understand. All he could focus on was Lyra's smile, that look of curiosity that made his chest pound. Maybe we should sit?" he asked nervously, gesturing toward a nearby table. Lyra considered him for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, let's." She floated beside him effortlessly, her movements graceful and smooth. Humans walked, but Othari moved with an elegance that almost seemed magical. As they settled at the table, Ethan tried to think of something to say. Something intelligent. Something that wouldn't make him look foolish, so, "I didn't mean to propose," he said finally, forcing a smile. Lyra's eyes twinkled. "I know," she said simply. "But you did something bold. You acted without fear of judgment, that is. Rare among humans and even rarer among diplomats." Ethan blinked. Thank you?" he said uncertainly. Lyra leaned back slightly, examining him. Tell me, Ethan Clark, are all humans so impulsive? He chuckled nervously. Not all, but I like to think a few of us are. Sometimes it gets us into trouble. She smiled again, and this time it was warmer, softer. It seems you found trouble already, she said, her gaze lingering on him. For a moment, neither spoke. Ethan felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. In the human world, meeting royalty was already intimidating. In the galaxy, meeting someone like Lyra was beyond anything he had imagined, and now, somehow, he was at the center of a cultural misunderstanding that could either ruin his reputation or change his life forever. A waiter floated by, offering drinks in levitating trays. Ethan hesitated, unsure of what to order. He finally chose something that looked safe, a glowing blue liquid that shimmered like liquid sapphire. Lyra picked a similar drink, her long fingers curling delicately around the glass. Two unexpected encounters, Ethan said, raising his glass cautiously. Lyra clinked her glass against his. To bold humans, she said, and sipped gracefully. The moment passed, but the energy between them remained. Ethan realized that for the first time in his life, he was not thinking about rules or protocol. He was thinking about her. Suddenly, a news droid floated over, recording the gala for interstellar broadcast. Its lenses focused on Ethan and Lyra, and before he could react, it beeped and captured the entire interaction, the proposal included. Ethan's stomach dropped. Across the galaxy, aliens would soon be seeing his mistake and probably laughing, but Lyra only smiled, unfazed. You're different human, she said. You do not hide your mistakes. You face them, that is refreshing. Ethan exhaled slowly, trying to calm his racing heart. I just hope it's not too embarrassing, he admitted. Lyra tilted her head, her glowing eyes studying him. Embarrassment is only a problem if you allow it to be. You are intriguing, Ethan Clark. Perhaps this mistake will lead to something more interesting than you imagine. The words made Ethan pause. Was she serious or teasing? He had no idea, and yet there was something in the way she looked at him that made his stomach twist in a strange, exciting way. The gala continued around them. Aliens danced in floating patterns, musicians played instruments that created colors as well as sounds, and diplomats exchanged glowing documents in languages that Ethan could not read. But for Ethan, the world had narrowed to this moment, sitting across from Princess Lyra, who had turned a simple accident into a moment that would change everything. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Lyra asked him questions about Earth, about humans, and about his experiences among the stars. Ethan told stories of daring space missions, of human creativity and resilience, and of the challenges humans faced as newcomers in the galactic community. Lyra listened intently, her expressions shifting from curiosity to amusement to genuine interest. Ethan noticed that even the Othari around them were leaning slightly closer, intrigued by the human who dared to face royalty without fear. As the gala drew to a close, Lyra stood, signaling that she had to leave. Ethan felt a pang of disappointment. You will be careful, human, she asked softly. Ethan nodded. I'll try and thank you for not being angry. Lyra's smile was radiant. Anger does not suit me, but curiosity, and perhaps adventure, those are qualities I value. She extended her hand, and Ethan took it, careful this time. As they parted, Ethan realized that his life had changed. A simple mistake, an accidental gesture, had led to a connection that might shape not only his personal life but the relationship between humans and the Othari. Floating back toward his shuttle, Ethan Clark couldn't help but smile. Perhaps humans were not just survivors or explorers. Perhaps in moments of boldness and honesty, they could be something more. Daring, unforgettable, and unexpectedly special. And somewhere, in the heart of the Illyria space station, Princess Lyra smiled too, thinking of the impulsive human who had proposed without meaning to, and the adventure that was only just beginning. Ethan Clark could still feel the weight of Princess Lyra's gaze as he stood near the edge of the grand ballroom aboard the Illyria space station. The hum of interstellar activity surrounded him. Dignitaries from dozens of planets mingled, their varied forms and fashions dazzling in the soft lighting. Yet for Ethan, nothing mattered more than the alien princess who had just smiled at him, a mixture of amusement and curiosity in her eyes. He ran a hand through his hair and muttered under his breath, Well, That went better than I expected. Or maybe worse. He couldn't decide if he had made a terrible mistake or achieved the impossible. One wrong gesture in a room full of representatives from countless species, and he had, according to Athari customs, proposed marriage. Ethan had never thought he would end up in a situation like this, not even in his wildest dreams during diplomacy school on Earth. Lyra, noticing his awkward stance, approached him with her usual elegance. Her movements were fluid, almost like she glided across the floor. Her luminous skin shifted in subtle hues, reflecting the ambient light, and her eyes held a spark of mischief. "You seem uncomfortable," she said softly, her voice carrying a musical tone that resonated with Ethan's ears. I think I may have made a mistake," Ethan admitted, scratching the back of his neck. "I didn't mean—" "Well, whatever it was, I just did." Lyra's smile widened and she tilted her head slightly. "You didn't mean to propose?" Ethan's eyes widened. No, of course not. It was just a gesture. A mistake, really." Her laughter was light, airy, and completely unexpected. "A mistake," she repeated, letting the word hang in the air like a delicate perfume. "Yet it has caused quite a stir." Ethan's stomach sank. He had hoped to correct the misunderstanding quietly, but it seemed that was no longer possible. In a matter of minutes, several holo reporters had captured the moment, and already news snippets were traveling faster than he could even comprehend. Across the station, screens were showing his proposal, with captions speculating on the meaning and impact. Stir?" Ethan asked cautiously. "How much stir?" Lyra's expression turned playful. "You have become a topic of interest for not just Illyria, but other nearby systems. Some call it charming, others scandalous," Ethan groaned. "Scandalous? Me? I'm just a human diplomat, not royalty." Lyra's eyes softened slightly. "Your honesty is refreshing. Most beings would know how to cover up such a mistake. You do not." The corner of Ethan's mouth twitched in a small smile despite his nervousness. "Well, humans are good at improvising when we have no other choice." Lyra nodded thoughtfully, stepping closer. "Your kind seems different, intriguing." Ethan swallowed hard, realizing that she was not offended. In fact, her amusement and curiosity made him feel strangely confident. Yet he could not ignore the political tension building around them. The Othari princess's attention was a privilege few humans could ever dream of. And yet here he was, a mere diplomat, caught in a misunderstanding that could either ruin or elevate his position. "Princess Lyra," he began, choosing his words carefully. "I promise I did not intend to propose. I just slipped in your terms, I suppose." She studied him for a long moment, tilting her head. "Perhaps this is how humans express boldness or foolishness. Either way, it is memorable." Ethan laughed nervously. "I'll take memorable over disastrous any day, though I suspect a lot of people will disagree with me on that." The princess's smile did not fade. Instead, she reached out a delicate hand, placing it briefly on his arm. A gesture that, in her culture, could mean trust, curiosity, or interest, depending on context. Ethan felt a jolt of warmth, unfamiliar and exciting. "Do you know," Lyra said, her tone suddenly serious, "that your gesture could be interpreted as a serious commitment? Among the Athari, such proposals are not casual. They are binding if accepted." Ethan's eyes widened. "Binding, like legally binding across your planets?" "Yes," she replied calmly, as if stating the obvious. "But since you did not intend it, there is room for clarification. Though some may not see it that way." Ethan groaned again. "Some may not see it that way. I'm surrounded by some may-nots, aren't I?" Lyra chuckled softly. "You have a way with words. Your humor is different. Entertaining, even." Despite the tension, Ethan felt a small sense of relief. If she found him entertaining, perhaps he could navigate this precarious situation without completely embarrassing himself. Still, he knew the station's media, ever eager for drama, would not let this die quietly. Indeed, within the hour, news of the human diplomat proposing to Princess Lyra spread across multiple star systems. Holofeeds showed Ethan's flustered expression, the spilled drink, and Lyra's amused smile. Captions speculated wildly: human boldness or strategic move, diplomatic accident or true intent. Ethan wanted to hide somewhere, anywhere. "Great," he muttered. "Now I'm famous for the wrong reasons." Lyra seemed amused by his distress. "Do not be troubled. The Athari value honesty and courage, even in mistakes. Your gesture shows both, Ethan blinked. You mean? It's not all bad? Not at all, Lyra replied. In fact, some may even say it is. Charming. The word charming made Ethan's chest tighten. He had faced challenges across galaxies, negotiated with alien factions, and survived diplomatic crises, yet nothing compared to the complexity of trying to navigate an accidental proposal with a princess who could read emotions almost as easily as words. As the evening progressed, Lyra invited Ethan to walk with her along the station's observation deck. The stars outside stretched endlessly, brilliant and quiet, contrasting sharply with the buzzing energy inside. You must know, she began, that many beings see your kind as unpredictable, sometimes reckless. Yet here you are, making an impression. Ethan shrugged. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but sometimes it helps to be honest, even when it's a mistake. Guess I'm lucky you find it interesting. Lyra's gaze softened. Interesting is one way to describe it. Unusual, perhaps. Bold, certainly, and refreshing. Ethan's lips twitched in a half-smile. Refreshing. I'll take it. They walked in silence for a while, watching distant ships glide past. Ethan felt a mixture of fear and excitement. The misunderstanding could ruin his career, yet Lyra's presence made the chaos seem bearable. Finally, she spoke again. You must understand your gesture has consequences. Some Othari may take it seriously. Some humans may misunderstand it as well. Ethan nodded slowly. I understand, I hope it doesn't cause too much trouble. Lyra tilted her head, considering. Trouble may come regardless, but you seem capable of handling it. Ethan chuckled nervously. I hope so. I really hope so. As the night drew on, Ethan realized something important. Despite the misunderstanding, he had gained Lyra's attention, something few humans could ever dream of. And while he had no idea how this accidental proposal would unfold, he also knew that his human traits, honesty, boldness, and perhaps a little clumsiness, had made him stand out in ways diplomacy manuals could never teach. Lyra paused and looked at him one last time before they returned inside. Perhaps, human, your mistake is the beginning of something. Interesting. Ethan's heart raced. Interesting. That seems to be my word for the night. And as they walked back into the grand ballroom, lights reflecting off alien jewels and suits of armor, Ethan realized that sometimes the most extraordinary events began with a simple mistake and the courage to face it head-on. For the first time in his life, he felt that being human, imperfect, bold, unpredictable was exactly what the universe needed. Ethan Clarke could hardly believe his luck. A few days after the accidental proposal, he found himself aboard a sleek Othari starship, traveling to a series of planets in Lyra's system. Each world was a dazzling display of colors, landscapes, and cultures unlike anything humans had ever experienced. Lyra sat across from him, her skin shimmering softly in the cabin's ambient light as the ship glided through the stars. Humans adapt quickly, she remarked, her voice calm yet amused. Most beings would be nervous or rigid in a situation like this. Ethan scratched the back of his neck. I suppose I've learned to roll with surprises. And this is a lot of surprises. Lyra's eyes sparkled. You may find our worlds challenging. Not all beings here think like you. You will need to be clever. Clever? That's my middle name, Ethan said, trying to sound confident, though he knew he had only scratched the surface of what lay ahead. Their first stop was Virelia, a planet covered in forests of crystal-like trees that glowed faintly under the twin suns. The Virelians, tall and elegant beings with translucent wings, welcomed them warmly but with strict customs. Every gesture, every word had meaning, and Ethan quickly learned that a wrong move could offend an entire civilization. During a formal reception, Ethan accidentally bowed too low to the Virelian council elder. The crowd gasped. Lyra, observing quietly, whispered, Not quite the right angle, human. Ethan straightened, flushing. Right angle, got it, I'll practice that. To his surprise, the council elder laughed softly and said in a melodic tone, Your gesture is unconventional, but sincerity is clear. It is appreciated, Ethan blinked. Sincerity works. Even here? Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. Humans have a way of showing honesty, even when it is clumsy. The rest of the visit went smoothly, thanks largely to Ethan's human ingenuity. When a misunderstanding about Virelian dining etiquette arose, Something as simple as the order of presenting dishes, Ethan quickly improvised, explaining with humor and respect. The Varelians, initially tense, burst into laughter and praised his creativity. Lyra watched, impressed. "You are learning quickly," she said after the ceremony. Ethan shrugged. "I have to, and I'd rather learn fast than make a mess later." Their next stop was Therion, a desert world with endless orange dunes and cities carved from stone. Here danger awaited in unexpected forms. While traveling through the city, a sudden sandstorm engulfed the streets, reducing visibility to almost zero. Most aliens struggled, relying on sensors and protective shields. Ethan, relying on human instincts, grabbed Lyra's hand and guided her, navigating using landmarks and intuition. Lyra was amazed. "You are remarkably calm." Ethan grinned despite the blowing sand. "Humans face storms on Earth too. This is nothing in comparison." They reached safety at the city's center, breathing heavily but smiling. Lyra looked at him, genuinely impressed. "You see possibilities when others see danger. That is rare." Ethan realized that this was more than just survival. It was demonstrating the human advantage, courage, adaptability, and thinking on one's feet. Later, as they traveled between cities, Ethan learned more about Lyra's people. The Othari valued discipline and strategy above all, yet Lyra seemed to admire human spontaneity. "Your kind is different," she said quietly one evening as they watched the twin moons rise over the Therion dunes. "Different, huh? That's one word for it," Ethan replied with a small smile. "I suppose it works in my favor sometimes." She tilted her head. "It does. You are unpredictable yet honest. Bold yet thoughtful. Few humans, I am told, venture beyond their worlds and act as you do. You are fascinating." Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. Compliments from a princess were rare enough, but from an alien princess whose people had never known humans personally, it felt extraordinary. Their adventures were not only cultural, but also filled with challenges. On the jungle world of Zarath, enormous creatures with thick armor and long tails threatened the peaceful settlements. While Othari guards hesitated, Ethan observed the creatures and realized that they reacted to certain vibrations. Using a simple combination of sound devices and rhythmic steps, he was able to guide the creatures away from villages without harming them. Lyra's admiration grew. "Your mind is clever. Not in a way we always expect from outsiders." Ethan laughed softly. "I guess humans can be resourceful when we need to be. Sometimes it's just instinct." Over time, their journey brought them closer. Sharing dangerous situations, solving problems, and laughing at misunderstandings strengthened their bond. Ethan began to notice small things about Lyra, the way her eyes reflected the stars, the way her voice carried subtle emotions, the tiny gestures that revealed her thoughts even when she tried to remain composed. Yet their journey also stirred tension. News of Ethan's proposal had spread, and rival alien dignitaries began to monitor their interactions closely. Some whispered behind closed doors, questioning whether a human diplomat could or should gain favor with a royal. Ethan became aware that every small action could be scrutinized. Yet he refused to let fear control him. "You are calm, even under pressure," Lyra observed one evening as they watched a river of glowing algae on Zarath's moonlit coast. Ethan smiled, staring at the sparkling water. "Humans have to be. Life throws surprises and we learn fast. Sometimes mistakes lead to unexpected opportunities." Lyra looked at him intently. "You seem to find opportunities where others see obstacles. It is admirable." The praise made Ethan blush slightly, though he hid it behind a grin. "Thanks. I think that's one of the reasons I survived diplomacy school back on Earth." Lyra's expression softened. "It is more than that. You remind me that there is more to life than rules, orders, and tradition. You remind me that courage and honesty matter." For Ethan, those words were more meaningful than any official recognition. They were a testament to what humans could offer, qualities that transcended technology, biology, and culture. Courage, empathy, and the willingness to act boldly, even in the face of danger, were what set humanity apart. During the journey, Ethan also began to teach Lyra about Earth customs, how humans celebrated birthdays, how they cooked food, and how humor played an important role in daily life. Lyra listened, fascinated, occasionally trying her hand at human jokes, often failing, which made Ethan laugh uncontrollably. "You find amusement in simple things," she observed one day. Still smiling from a failed attempt at a joke, Ethan nodded. Humans find joy everywhere. Even mistakes can be funny if you know how to look at them. Lyra tilted her head thoughtfully. Perhaps that is why your gesture was intriguing. Not because it was perfect, but because it was sincere, human, and bold. Ethan felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. Sincere. I like that word. It's better than perfect anyway. Their travels continued, each world presenting new challenges and opportunities. Ethan's human intuition often solved problems that advanced technology and rigid logic could not. Whether guiding a city through a sandstorm, negotiating with jungle creatures, or navigating complex alien etiquette, he proved that humans were more than capable, and sometimes exceptional, when faced with unfamiliar circumstances. By the time they returned to the Illyria space station, Ethan and Lyra had formed a deep mutual respect and a subtle but growing bond. News outlets buzzed with speculation, but Ethan now faced it with a quiet confidence. He knew that no matter the misunderstandings, his honesty, courage, and adaptability had earned him the princess's admiration, and that was worth more than any rumor. Lyra's final words to him as the ship docked were simple, yet carried weight. Human you are, unlike any being I have ever known. I am curious to see what comes next. Ethan's heart raced, and for the first time, he felt truly ready for whatever the universe had in store. Because humans, clumsy, bold, unpredictable humans, had a way of surprising everyone, including alien princesses. And as they stepped onto the station together, Ethan realized that this journey was only the beginning. The adventures, the misunderstandings, the challenges, they were all leading toward something far greater than either of them could yet imagine. The Illyria space station glimmered under the light of distant stars, a dazzling city floating in the void. After weeks of traveling across alien worlds, Ethan Clarke finally felt a rare sense of calm. He had survived sandstorms on Therion, guided jungle creatures on Zarath, and navigated the complex etiquette of countless alien civilizations. Yet tonight a new challenge awaited, one that required courage not just in action, but in heart. Princess Lyra had invited him to accompany her to the station's observation deck, a place few visitors were allowed to see. The platform extended beyond the main structure, offering a panoramic view of the cosmos. The stars stretched endlessly, bright and serene, and the distant planets shimmered like jewels. The sight was breathtaking, yet Ethan could not focus on the beauty around him. His mind was occupied with a single thought. He had to tell Lyra how he truly felt. Lyra stood at the edge of the platform, her hands lightly resting on the railing. Her skin reflected the starlight, shifting in gentle hues. She glanced at him, a quiet smile on her face, and spoke in her soft, melodic tone. You seem restless, human. Something troubles you. Ethan took a deep breath. It's not trouble, princess. It's something I need to say. Her eyes met his, curious and patient. Speak freely. The stars are listening, but they will not judge. He swallowed hard, the weight of his feelings pressing on him. Lyra, these past weeks traveling with you, it's been incredible. I've seen worlds I never imagined, faced challenges I never thought I could survive, and I've realized something important. Lyra tilted her head slightly, waiting. Ethan felt his heart pounding. I've realized, he continued, his voice steady despite the nerves, that I care about you, not because of a misunderstanding, not because of a gesture or an accident, but because of who you are. Your courage, your kindness, your curiosity, they've touched me in a way I didn't expect. Lyra's expression softened, a mixture of surprise and something deeper that Ethan could not quite name. You would care for me, human? Yes, he said firmly, stepping closer. I do. And I know I may be risking everything by saying this. I'm a human, a simple diplomat, but I can't hide how I feel any longer. I want you to know. I want you to choose me if you are willing. A gentle silence followed. The stars outside seemed to pause, as if the universe itself were listening. Lyra's gaze never wavered, and Ethan felt a mixture of fear and hope. Ethan Clarke, she said finally, her voice calm but filled with emotion. Your words are sincere. You speak with honesty and courage, qualities we Othari admire greatly. Yet this is not a simple decision. Feelings are complicated, and politics even more so. Ethan nodded. I understand. I don't expect a quick answer. I had to tell you how I feel. No regrets, no pretending, just honesty. Lyra stepped closer, her eyes locking with his. Humans are Remarkable. Your courage is not just in action but in the heart. Many beings would hide their feelings, fearing consequences. Yet you do not. Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. That's what humans do sometimes. We take risks, even if we're scared. Even if we don't know the outcome, we act because we feel something is worth it. Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. And what you feel is affection, admiration, love. Ethan admitted, his voice steady despite the racing of his heart. I know it's bold, and I know it may complicate things, but I care for you, truly. Lyra looked down for a moment, her thoughts unreadable. Then she met his gaze again. Human, I find your honesty compelling. You have shown me courage in more ways than one. And now your heart as well. Few beings would dare to speak so openly. Ethan swallowed, feeling the tension in his chest ease slightly. So, that's good? She laughed softly, the sound like music drifting across the stars. It is more than good. It is promising, but you must understand. Emotions are only part of the journey. The galaxy watches and not all will be pleased. I know, Ethan replied. I've learned that humans can face challenges, and I've faced many with you. I can face this too. With you. Lyra's gaze softened further. Perhaps this is what I was meant to see. Not just the human who made a mistake, but the human who is brave enough to follow his heart no matter the consequences. Ethan's chest tightened. He had faced interstellar storms, wild creatures, and alien politics, but nothing compared to this moment. Yet he stood tall, grounded by truth and sincerity. Lyra, he said, taking a small step closer, I would like to ask you, properly this time, will you be willing to consider a union between us? Not because of a gesture, but because of choice. Because of what we feel. Lyra's expression softened completely, her smile warm and genuine. You are bold human, and yet it is clear your words come from the heart. I am willing to consider it. With time, yes, but your honesty is. Noted, Ethan felt a rush of relief and joy. Thank you. That's all I could hope for. I don't expect everything to be simple, but I promise I will respect your world, your people, and you. Always. She nodded, her gaze thoughtful. And I will respect your courage, your humanity, and your heart. Few beings have ever moved me so. For a long moment they stood together in silence, letting the glow of distant stars fill the space between them. Ethan realized that the universe was vast, unpredictable, and full of challenges. But this moment, this connection, made everything worthwhile. Ethan, Lyra finally said, her voice soft. It seems the universe has a sense of humor. You stumbled into a gesture, yet here you stand speaking with truth and courage. Few humans or beings of any kind could achieve such clarity. Ethan chuckled softly. I suppose humans do have a strange way of turning mistakes into opportunities. Maybe it's our nature to keep moving forward no matter what. And that is admirable, Lyra replied. Perhaps this is the reason your presence has been welcomed, even if controversial. You show us that courage and honesty are universal values, not confined to one species. Ethan smiled, feeling the weight of the past weeks lift slightly. I've learned a lot traveling with you. About your worlds, your people, and about myself. I never imagined that a misunderstanding could lead to something so meaningful. Lyra's eyes softened. Sometimes, human, it is the unexpected events that reveal the truest qualities. Yours are remarkable. The stars continued to shine around them, silent witnesses to the moment. Ethan realized that he had found something rare. Not just adventure, not just admiration, but a connection that transcended species, politics, and misunderstandings. He took a deep breath and said, Lyra, I do not know what the future holds. There will be challenges, obstacles, and people who doubt us, but I promise, I will face them all as a human with honesty, courage, and heart. I care for you, and I will not let fear stop me from showing it. Lyra studied him, her expression a mixture of wonder and warmth. And I will observe, learn, and perhaps trust that this human is capable of such bravery, not just in words but in actions. Ethan's chest swelled with a quiet pride. Then we start together. Not perfect, not certain, but together. If you are willing. Lyra's smile was radiant, her eyes reflecting the endless stars. I am willing to see where this path leads, human. Your courage is inspiring. And your heart. Honest, Ethan felt a surge of hope. He knew the road ahead would not be simple. There would be politics, scrutiny, and challenges across countless worlds. Yet in that moment, He understood the power of truth, bravery, and human ingenuity. "Then let's face it together," he said softly, taking her hand gently. Lyra's hand was warm, her touch a silent acknowledgement of trust and understanding. "Together, human, and may the stars guide us." As they stood side by side on the observation deck, the cosmos stretched infinitely before them. For Ethan, the universe felt less intimidating and more filled with possibility. He had faced storms, strange creatures, and cultural complexities, and now he faced the most important journey of all, the journey of the heart. Because humans, as Lyra had begun to see, were capable of extraordinary courage, not just in battle or diplomacy, but in love, honesty, and daring to take risks. And Ethan Clarke was determined to prove it, one heartfelt action at a time. The stars above twinkled as if in approval, and Ethan knew without a doubt that this was only the beginning. The Illyria space station buzzed with anticipation. News of Ethan Clarke's proposal to Princess Lyra had spread across countless systems. Some hailed it as a bold step toward interstellar unity, while others whispered doubts about a human daring to capture the attention of an alien princess. Yet amidst the gossip and speculation, Ethan felt a quiet resolve. After weeks of adventure and heartfelt confession, the moment of truth had arrived. He stood at the station's grand summit hall, a vast chamber adorned with banners of multiple civilizations. Delegates from dozens of species had gathered for a formal interstellar meeting. The air shimmered with energy, and Ethan could feel eyes from all corners of the galaxy upon him. Yet beside him, Princess Lyra moved with calm grace, her presence a reminder that courage and honesty could shine even in the most intimidating situations. "Ethan Clarke," Lyra said softly, as they stepped onto the stage, "are you ready?" He nodded, straightening his shoulders. "As ready as a human can be." The summit's host, a dignitary from the neutral planet Illyria Prime, began the ceremony. "We gather today to witness a union that, though unexpected, has inspired countless beings across the stars. Human and Othari, diplomacy and courage, honesty and curiosity, all brought together by an extraordinary series of events." Ethan glanced at Lyra, whose calm eyes reflected trust and amusement. He remembered their journey, the Varelian forests, the Therian sandstorms, the glowing jungles of Zarath. Each adventure had tested him, shaped him, and revealed the unique qualities of humanity. Boldness, resilience, creativity, and honesty, traits that had carried him through alien challenges and captured the attention of a princess. Lyra raised her voice to the audience. "We live in a galaxy rich with diversity, yet it is our choices, not our species, that define us. Ethan Clarke has shown courage, sincerity, and ingenuity beyond what many could imagine. I welcome him not as a diplomat alone, but as someone who has proven the value of humanity itself." Ethan's heart raced. He had faced countless obstacles, but these words, spoken with warmth and authority by an alien princess, felt like a victory greater than any he could have imagined. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. The formal proposal. Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady. "Princess Lyra, I do not stand here for fame, recognition, or politics. I stand here because of what I feel in my heart. I admire you, I respect you, and I care for you. I ask you to join me, not as a duty, not as a gesture, but as a choice. Will you accept me, not just as a human diplomat, but as a partner in life, in adventure, and in courage?" Lyra's eyes softened, reflecting both the stars above and the sincerity in Ethan's gaze. She reached out, placing her hand over his. "Ethan Clarke, your words are honest, brave, and thoughtful. Few beings have dared to speak so openly, yet you have shown that truth, courage, and human heart can transcend boundaries of culture, species, and expectation. I accept your offer." A wave of applause and cheers echoed through the summit hall. Delegates from multiple civilizations stood, clapping and celebrating the union. Some alien dignitaries who had doubted Ethan now looked at him with admiration. Humans, once seen as impulsive and unpredictable, had demonstrated qualities that inspired respect: ingenuity, courage, honesty, and an unwavering willingness to act boldly. Ethan felt a rush of relief and pride. He had not only survived diplomatic and interstellar challenges, but he had also proven that humans could shine where technology, protocol, and tradition alone could not. Lyra's hand in his was a symbol of trust, respect, and shared courage. Outside the summit hall, the press and holo reporters captured every moment. Holofeeds across galaxies showed Ethan and Lyra standing together, smiling, united by choice and mutual respect. The story was no longer about a human who made a mistake. It was about a human who acted with heart, bravery, and integrity, qualities that resonated deeply with every species. As the ceremony concluded, Ethan and Lyra walked along the observation deck once more. The stars stretched endlessly, but this time they did not feel distant. The universe had shifted in subtle ways, recognizing a union built not on obligation but on courage, honesty, and human ingenuity. "You did well, Ethan," Lyra said softly. "You faced scrutiny, danger, and uncertainty, and still you remained true to yourself." Ethan smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "I had a good guide. And humans. We just keep moving forward no matter the challenges." Lyra tilted her head, a small smile playing at her lips. "Your kind is remarkable. I now understand why humans are so valued, even among civilizations far older and more advanced than Earth. You show us that strength comes not just from technology, but from heart, courage, and creativity." Ethan felt warmth spread through him. "And I've learned that beings like you, with wisdom and openness, make the universe a place worth exploring. Together, I think humans and Othari can achieve incredible things." She laughed softly. "Perhaps this is only the beginning." Indeed, the weeks and months following the summit were filled with cooperation and progress. Human and Othari scientists collaborated on new technologies, diplomats from multiple systems forged stronger alliances, and the example of Ethan and Lyra's union became a symbol of unity across galaxies. Humans, once seen as unpredictable and impulsive, were now admired for their courage, adaptability, and sincerity. Ethan and Lyra continued their personal adventures as well. They traveled to worlds they had not yet seen, faced new challenges together, and discovered the beauty of cultures across the stars. Each journey tested their partnership, strengthened their bond, and demonstrated that humans were not merely survivors, they were innovators, problem solvers, and connectors. One evening, as they watched the three suns set over the desert planet Therion once more, Lyra turned to Ethan. "You have shown that a single human can inspire hope, courage, and admiration across worlds. It is extraordinary." Ethan smiled, feeling the familiar rush of warmth and pride. "We humans often surprise ourselves, and sometimes we even surprise alien princesses." Lyra laughed, the sound like music across the dunes. "Yes, you did, and now the galaxy knows it as well." Ethan took a deep breath, looking at the stars. "It's been a journey, hasn't it?" Lyra nodded, placing her hand in his. "A journey that has just begun. Together." For Ethan Clarke, the journey had indeed begun. From a single accidental gesture to an interstellar union, he had faced challenges, misunderstandings, and moments of doubt. Yet his human qualities, honesty, courage, adaptability, and boldness, had carried him through. He had proven that humans, though small and young among the stars, could achieve greatness not just through technology or power, but through heart and action. And as the stars twinkled above, Ethan realized the truth: humans were remarkable, not because they were perfect, not because they had advanced technology, but because they dared to act, to care, and to show courage in ways no other species could. Lyra smiled at him once more, the warmth in her gaze reflecting trust, affection, and shared purpose. "Shall we continue, human?" she asked. Ethan grinned. "Always. There's a whole universe out there, and I think we've only scratched the surface." Hand in hand, human and Othari princess stepped forward, ready to face the adventures, challenges, and wonders that awaited them. Together they had turned a simple misunderstanding into a symbol of courage, unity, and the extraordinary qualities of humanity. The stars above shone brighter than ever, as if the universe itself celebrated their courage, their honesty, and the remarkable truth that sometimes the boldness of a single human could change everything. And in that light, Ethan Clarke understood the power of being human and the incredible journey that had brought him here, to love, adventure, and a universe full of possibilities.